Oh, another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit, and they fought their way back in.
There it is. Game, set, and match.
Hello, and welcome to the 2024-2025 APTA Tour. We're live from the Birchwood Club in Highland Park, Illinois, bringing you the Birchwood Open with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors, Volley and Coriant. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors: Crane Construction Company, Messero, Renovo Financial, Lynn Wise Group, 28 Mile Distilling Company, and Milco Investments. I'm Brian Faig, along with my partner in crime today, Jason Love, bringing you the men's semifinal match between Jonas Merckx and Brian Panek, and Rafael Coutinho and Pavle Jefferson. Welcome to the booth with me, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Second match in a row. We just got done doing the women's semi with Denise, and looking forward to it's our first match.
Yes, it
doing
is,
it
together.
I'm excited about it, and we got a good one tonight. So we've got the number 4 seed Coutinho and Jefferson, team from out east.
Yeah.
So new to me, you know.
Yeah.
But we've got Coutinho from Connecticut, Jefferson from Scarsdale, the birthplace of platform tennis. So that'll be exciting. Once they decide their sides, here we'll tell you who's going where and what's going to happen next. But you've seen all these guys. I've obviously been familiar with the Chicago guys. What are you looking forward to in this match, Brian?
Yeah, and before I get into that, just, you know, the big upset of the last round would have been Merckx and Panek beating Ong and Granger, right? And Ong and Granger are household names, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in Chicago, you know, Brian Panek has been playing paddle for a long time, but Jonas Merckx is fairly new to the scene here. So really excited to see how they, you know, continue to evolve as partnerships and see if they can get into this match here. Hard to maintain that level after beating such a good team. And Coutinho and Jefferson have been playing a lot of these tournaments this year, both super solid, very, very strong team, have, dare I say, walked to this point. They've been playing great paddle, so really excited to see this match.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. You know, it's funny, we joke all the time on the local stream here. That was just a normal league night, right? And I know those league nights happen all over the country, but that Andrew Ong, Mitch Granger match, right, with this is just another great Chicago battle. What's crazy, and you and I were talking about beforehand, is even though you've got Coutinho and Jefferson as the number 4 seed, you've got Merckx and Panek, who are actually, I think, on paper, the PTI favorite in this match. But, you know, they just, Merckx, Jonas in particular, hasn't played many tournaments, you know, so he doesn't have the ranking points that these other guys are accumulating this season.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a little harder to travel. He is a head pro out at Inverness Country Club, so being him to be able to be flexible and go travel in tournaments around the country, a little less flexible for that. But again, really excited for this one to see.
Yeah. I think watching the warm-ups, too, you even mentioned it. It's like there's some racket skills on this court, which is fun with these small tournaments, right? You get these incredibly tight draws. There's nowhere to go. You know, you had some tough matches out there today. Everybody did, right? It's just there's nowhere to hide in these small draws.
No, and that's why I recommend to any and all levels, you know, get out and play in a tournament, because while, you know, your league night match, your morning match is always fantastic, it's good to play 2, 3, 4 matches, see different types of teams, and, you know, hopefully survive the partnership you choose going into that day.
It's not the Illinois Married Mixed, you know.
Yeah, you're right,
but
exactly.
It can be. No, look, there's no way, a better way to test your skills than to play in a tournament, right? And because every style, every match has to be different. We talk about the greatest athletes, right, are those that are adaptable and able to make change and responses on the fly, and that's what makes this game so much fun.
Totally agree.
So as I said, here we go, getting ready to serve. We've got Merckx ready to serve in the green top, partner with Panek in the red top to his left. On the far side, to return on the deuce side, we've got Coutinho and Jefferson in the ad with the blue top. Here we go. Let's get it going, Brian.
Let's do it.
I think to your point, Brian's played a long time. It'll be interesting for the national viewers who don't know Merckx, very talented international tennis player from Belgium. Has been here as a teaching professional. He's the director of racket sports here. So again, not a lot of people know him on a national level. There he is. He gets a doink on his first ball.
And we're seeing early, they're going to feel each other out. They probably have not played each other before, right? So this is kind of the song and dance you see early in these matches. A lot of the time on these live streams, the teams have played each other a handful of times, so they get into whatever the strategy is. But I think here it's kind of being figured out. Great.
It's a second doink already.
Yep.
No, I agree. And Denise and I were talking about this before. The first couple games, exactly that. You're feeling out the flow of the match. You're finding out what shots they like, what they hit well, where your safe spots are, where your no-go zones are, etc. like that. I asked Denise the same question. Brian, do you like to serve first or do you like to receive first?
That's a really, really good question. I'm going to say weather dependent, but for the most part, I like to receive first. I like to put a lot of pressure on them early. I think the return is, the biggest offensive shot you can get, right? A freebie, essentially, because you know where it's going to be at a given time. So I like to return first. What did Denise say? I'm curious.
Denise said the same thing. Different answer, but same final answer, but different reasoning. How about that?
I love that.
But I actually like yours, and I'll kind of comment on that. Look, I was just telling my students this last week, the serve is the only shot that has to land in a specific area of the court. So again, it gives you an opportunity right away to be aggressive with the drive. We've got 40-30 here in this opening game.
And so far, you've seen pretty much all the talents that every team, these both teams have. Brian Panek prefers his backhand to his forehand, so you'll see him really swinging at that. We saw that earlier. And you see Coutinho taking a gigantic rip on his return, as well as Jefferson. So I think the stage is set for what people want, and clearly the safe spot for the overheads is going to be to Jefferson's backhand, just based on this first game alone. But again, we'll see how they adjust.
Yeah, I love that. I love that intel, right? Again, even for myself, not knowing these East Coast guys as well, but two teaching professionals on that side, which it doesn't mean anything other than they're out on the court all day, every day. So they have maybe a little bit more touch and feel on the ball than a lot of other players, but also just they're deeply in tune to what they feel good with, what they like, what they don't like. Very aggressive start. Wow. I like how he's moving that around.
Very hard to do what he's doing, going basically inside out, down the alley. Very tricky.
Moving to your left and hitting to your right is not an easy task.
No.
Good net coverage there by Panek. At this point already has demonstrated kind of one of those great descriptions of paddle, right? 30 seconds of flurry followed by 2 minutes of boredom.
I was going to say more like 5 minutes of boredom, but I prefer 2.5 minutes.
Good reset.
And Coutinho's forehand is gigantic, but I will tell you it is potentially not the right spot to make Merckx volley, because his volleying is so good, as you mentioned. High-end tennis player. I believe about top 300 in the world. That's a great forehand for Jefferson.
He read that well. He jumped up the sideline quick to make a good aggressive forehand.
And that will be his play all night. And there's that Coutinho forehand.
And great move by Panek there just to let it through and take the counter drive. We were talking about it during the first match, and obviously having played today, but warmer here, right? We were over 30 degrees almost all day, so Temperatures still surprisingly warm for February 1st.
And you say warm, if we have viewers, you know, in Florida or anywhere in the south, they're like
True.
freezing.
True, yeah.
Big hack there by Merckx. Fortunately goes in the net, and we have break point here in the first game.
He moves his feet so well.
Especially in the, what, third match of the day for him, second match of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, that is not easy.
I like that overhead there by Merckx. Go right deep at the body. Make Jefferson have to make a choice. Maybe lost that in the lights. In an early break, we saw this in the women's semi that we did too. You know, again, a little bit warmer temps. People are getting going. They're going to be likely to take that forehand swing or that return to serve swing and be a little bit more aggressive with it. It'll be interesting to see if Merckx and Panek take the same strategy on their return serve game here.
Absolutely. I am excited that we got pretty much everything out of the way in the first game. We saw what the teams are going to bring and provide, right? Big forehands from Coutinho, big forehands from Jefferson, Merckx and Panek trying to be steady at net. Merckx's forehand here potentially could be bigger than Coutinho's. We're going to see how hard he swings here.
I've had the pleasure, but also the non-pleasure of playing Merckx plenty of times. And it is large, let me tell you, but at the same time, he has the full ability to go any different speed and spin with it.
And that was just a great shot by him, not panicking, right?
Yeah.
Knowing where the roller is going to go and just really flicking it at Jefferson at net, who couldn't dodge it to get out of the way.
It'll be interesting to see if they go back to that play, right? Or they realize that that might not be a spot they want to go.
Yeah, and for the people, again, who don't know this Panek and Merckx team, where is the safe spot on this side of the court, would you say, Jason?
Yeah, you know, definitely I think most players would say that Jonas's scariest shot is his forehand, although as he just teed off on a backhand there. But, you know, Merckx prefers his forehand and Panek prefers his backhand. So they're kind of going strength on the outside, which I actually really like. I said it earlier, you know, lefties like yourself, I like playing in the ad. You know, it takes away that side screen overhead. But yeah, the middle, if Jefferson and Coutinho are willing to play it and play steady, should be the safer place to play most of those balls.
And they've clearly are somewhat finding that spot, I think, right?
Yes.
And they're very smart. And, yep, you're going to see Merckx trying to get involved here. And I think that's where every once in a while you're going to want Coutinho maybe to let that ball drop a little bit more to go to the side screen. And we see a quick switch here.
I
in the
love
backcourt.
that. And already to that point in that discussion, right, they said, let's change the dynamic of this point already. And I don't think players do that enough, to be honest.
I was just going to say the same thing. I think that I was going to quiz you and say, why did they switch? But you already answered to change the dynamic. There's no harm in switching and losing the point because you might lose the point anyway from not switching, right? So,
well, I think, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I was gonna lead to it too. Give me a mic and I'll take it. But I think the reality is look, when you get four players like this that can hit any shot and can play every bit of every game, right? They're looking at this from where can they make a team feel uncomfortable. And when a team is at the net is willing to dump multiple balls down.
oh, that's a great. Sorry to cut you
volley.
off.
No,
That's
no,
a
no.
Great
hands battle.
And Merckx really liked his odds there, and I liked his odds there on that shot. But Jefferson really just took that half volley. And
I don't know
flicked it
how
cross
he
court.
flicked that back cross court.
That is talent above my pay grade, so I can't answer that for you.
We can comment on it though.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And that was just, again, that backhand from Merckx. He holds it so well and is able to place it wherever he wants. Jefferson was just not expecting that shot at all.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to that exact point right there. It's not that one of or two of these guys can't hit a certain shot from a certain side, right? But it's they're looking for the ball that can generate an advantage for them. So by switching sides, maybe the overhead to the side screen or to the middle gives them a different offensive look that they can take advantage of.
And I think for a lot of people who have good forehands, I would argue many of them, or maybe we're not going to say good forehands, but maybe are less confident in their forehand. They feel more confident when they have the side screen to help them. So that's potentially also helping Brian Panek's forehand in the forehand side when they switch.
Yeah. Well, and Brian's had 2 forehand drives. Now they've switched in transition, right? So I would argue it's been a successful strategy until they hit the let cord and it trickles over.
But that gets set up, right? A well-struck ball always goes over. I think that's the saying. And, he's in deep in the blue, right? It's absolutely the right shot.
Great
That's a
return.
great return on that backhand.
That's what he's known for, that backhand. So Panek to serve, 1-all in the first set. And again, you can definitely see there's a lot of kind of dart throwing, right? Probing, different shots, different moves. They're changing formations. I love seeing that. Again, if tennis is checkers, paddle is chess, and you can see the thinking going on out here already.
I was going to say it's chess and checkers at the same time. You're playing on 2 different boards.
That's just not fair. You can't play 2 games at the same time.
And that's just very smart. They see Jefferson's teeing off on a forehand, back up, survive another day.
It's warm enough. You can take that ball back, and you know that anybody out here is going to get a drive. Look at that. Oh, but I like that shot.
That is the right ball, and you want to hit that early to remind them you cannot go to this spot because I'm going to hit it.
And don't for one second think that Jefferson and Coutinho didn't note that. They go, whoa.
Yeah, right. They walked back, and they said, we got a little lucky there.
Don't hit it there anymore, please.
And 2 double faults here for Panek. Let's see if he can get a little back on track here to stay in this game.
Great volleys. Denise touched on it before, that all these guys, from what I've seen already, is they keep their feet and their bottom half of their body so still, and their hands and everything so quiet, make the volley that much easier. Great ball. We got a break there. 2-1 Coutinho Jefferson here in the first set.
And let's see if we can get a hold. Have we not? I don't, so far it's been kind of just break. So let's see if we can get a hold here.
And we were talking about that earlier today. It is warmer. Again, I don't want to make it seem to your Florida listeners, I don't know if you got family there or what, but in these warmer temps, it's more of a returner's game. So hopefully we can find a way by changing positioning, moving your serve around, staying back, counter driving, but the point being is to get a hold. It took us 3 or 4 service games before we saw our first hold in the women's semi.
Jefferson to serve here. Pretty good kick serve. We're going to see this. So I'm curious if he can go up the tee to try to kick this.
He might next time.
Yeah, he might next time, right? I think he just got a little bit of the middle of the box, and Jonas Merckx was able to kind of turn on that ball.
I actually, don't mind that from your first point of your first service game, right? You're learning just as much as you are warming up yourself still. You go, that's not where we want to go with that ball.
You don't go for double lines on your first serve of the match, Jason? Okay.
Well, at least I never did, but I'm only, 5'8" and marginally athletic, so,
So you see 2 quick errors here, giving Jefferson 3 quick errors here on returns, and at this level, that is just really probably the biggest no-no that the top players would tell you is if you give one freebie, try and just probe, be a little smarter, just so that Jefferson doesn't walk into an easy hold here after being down love 15.
I agree, and I think, Brian, what I teach a lot of the time, or I try to instill in people is their job is to make the volley, right? That's a normal point. That's like waking up and brushing your teeth. So if you hit a return and they volley it back, it doesn't mean you didn't hit it well. They're just doing their job. right? So, and look, I miss returns as well, but the point being is just focus on making him hit it, get into the exchange, and give yourself a chance at another ball. Great shot. I like that little sneaky drive there by Panek. Make a move, change position.
And that is a winning formula right there for Panek, just to really, and again, I don't think he overcooked that, right?
No,
he
he
was
hit it
high
slower.
margin. And listeners who have potentially heard me commentate will be tired of hearing me say, margin, but it's so important in this game to make sure you clear the net by a certain amount, right? You can't lose the point in the net if you hit it over the net. That might sound really stupid, but it's the truth.
I try to learn a lot from the great players of the game, right? And there are a lot of them, but, the Scott Mansager always just say your first, 3 games you should aim 6 feet over the net. The next 3 games you go 3 feet over the net and you move it down after that. I mean, he only won 13 combined men's and mixed national championships, so what does he know?
Yeah, well, only. So good hold for Jefferson to bring it to 3-1 with Merckx serving here. Down 1-3 in the first set.
And there it was. You asked for it, our first hold. They are really putting a pounding on those returns. I think that's the first one he's missed.
I agree. And he was in the green, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell him not to swing at a forehand. That thing is a missile. But if I was to tell him the ball not to swing at, maybe it would be in the green.
And he was moving to his left, to hit a forehand, which is tough.
And that's a great close by him after a great return, just following it in. Very sneaky. Well done.
He kind of reminds me of the Berrettini. He's like the Berrettini of platform tennis right now.
I like that comp very much. And I think that's the ball. If you're trying to force the issue and try to maybe get an error, I do think it probably is on the middle ball, right? I think we've seen Jefferson drive exceptionally good forehands as he's moving to his side screen. And Coutinho continues just to wallop his return at the net man. Brings you a break point.
And that's really the first ball that they've gotten to Coutinho's screen.
I was thinking that as well, and I'm really wanting to see Merckx and Panek maybe hit a few more rollers over there, try and bait him to drive it off of some screens, and that is another shot I've been really looking for. Both Jefferson and Coutinho forehands are big, but also large grip changes, so you know what's coming.
Right.
So you can really try to close there and potentially get some drop shots.
And we were talking about that in the women's match also. I think the drop shot is very underrated and underused, right? If nothing else, you want to make them move, change the dynamic, get them off their spot. They want to crush it, make a move forward and hit a softer ball.
So if I wanted to hit a drop shot and I didn't know how, what would you recommend? What's like your key thing to remember on a drop shot?
Yeah, I think, good lob, set that up, and again, misleading. They thought the drive was coming, and the lob came. We've got 4-1 Coutinho Jefferson on the changeover here. Did you know that volley has thrown 5 million balls to players working on their game? Don't get left behind. Get your reps in with volley. Whether it's day or night, you're in control of your training. Volley offers world-class training on demand, helping you sharpen your skills and level up your game, whether it fits your schedule. Ready to join the movement? Start training smarter with volley today. Have you ever hit on a volley machine, Brian?
I have once, and it was spectacular. So highly recommend it for any player and club if you haven't to try to do that.
I agree. It's absolutely fantastic, and we're not just saying that
No.
because they're our sponsors. No, I've been lucky to be on the court with those guys a number of times over the last couple of years through their development of the program and the process and the machine. It's just fantastic.
We're seeing some very good overheads from Coutinho, really starting to hit a little spin on the ball. That could be a 4-1 shot, right? You know, you get a little confidence with some scoreboard pressure, on the other team.
We also haven't seen them at the net very much yet.
No, and that's also the other thing, right, is they've been pretty much in the backcourt walloping forehands, which is a winning formula for them, right? So I think if they give up a bad overhead or something, I would not be surprised if they go back because, again, they're winning most of the points in the backcourt anyway.
Yeah. And I want to circle back, Brian. We started talking about the drop shot.
Yes.
Yeah, and
sorry.
I got a little distracted with it. But I think the number one thing about drop shots is people need to realize, in my opinion, is that you actually want your opponent to touch the ball. You're not hitting the drop shot to necessarily win the point.
And we just saw a spectacular drop shot there.
Which won the point, which, again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the point is if you're hitting it to flat out win the point, we generally miss by trying to make it too good, as opposed to hitting it to try and get, for example, in that case, Panek off of his spot to make him have to make a tougher shot. So I actually teach people all the time, you want your drop shot to be touched so that now they're pulled off their spot. Now you've got them in chaos, and you can move them around.
I don't know about you, Jason, but if someone drop shots me and I get it, I'm probably not going to be able to run back in time anyway. So, they should be drop shotting more because I think people don't want to run that much and they're not used to it.
Yeah, well, it's what's deceiving is it's only 22 feet from the baseline to the net, but it seems like an awful long way when you're out there.
Yes, it does.
But again, when you are fully committed to drive or play a screen, or back up and hit a lob, and now all of a sudden you have to hit the jets, like right there, and now you've got Merckx scrambling, right?
Do you think this is a must-win game to stay in this set for Merckx and Panek?
That's a great question. And the other guys here in the booth have heard me say this 100 times or more probably, but I do think 4-1 is the most deceiving score in the game, personally. Because I don't know that Merckx and Panek are playing this game any different than they were before. But the fact is I think that Coutinho and Jefferson are feeling the pressure of a 4-1 score, like they need to consolidate that break to move up another hold.
And what a clutch serve that was, right?
Yeah.
Hitting the nick there. Back to deuce.
Great ball. He held that well.
And great pace as well on the way back.
I've been really impressed by Coutinho and Jefferson's patience now. Playing fairly safe overheads. They're getting to the screens. Again, you'd rather take the drive probably off the screen than off the deck against a lot of these guys.
And I think their partnership, you can tell they've played together before, right? I think they move very well together. And I think you're seeing Coutinho take more, I would say, aggressive overheads, right? And Jefferson's, I'm going to say baseline overhead is much more steady, but he's hitting it
Great
deep.
backhand. Yeah, look, the reality is in every partnership, you've kind of got more of that alpha beta, Batman, Robin, whatever you want to call it. Oh, he was there.
And speaking of, Batman and Robin, how I like to think about it is Robin can do a lot of the stuff Batman can, right? But if they both try to do the same thing, you're not going to be as successful. You need one of the partners to go, okay, I'm going to be, whether it's steady Eddie or whatever, I need to be the person that's not making the errors. And I like to use the term riding the wave of my partner,
Absolutely. Right? And a great partnership, match to match, you're both going to play different roles.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe they're going to play more the deuce side or attack the deuce, or you got a lefty-righty combo. But again, look, let's not sell any one of these four players short. Any one of these guys is the Batman, is the alpha of any teammate, right?
Absolutely. And that's the ball Panek has been looking for, and a little erratic so far on that backhand.
It almost seemed like he was surprised he got it.
Yeah. That's another.
At least that's the way it looked to me.
I agree, and that's another just unbelievably good return. He disguises that so well. You'll see here, you don't know where he's going with it. He keeps an open stance to be able to turn his shoulders to go cross court.
And I think that's the first one he's gone down the line. You know, so again, change it up, throw something different. Got break point here. I like
Switching,
that
yep,
switch
me
in
too.
the backcourt.
Very good overhead by Coutinho.
Got to the side screen, gives him time. You know, the great Patty Hogan. You know, get that ball to the side screen on the switch. Good ball.
It's funny, this point I think is also one that is happening right on Coutinho and Jefferson's terms.
Yes.
We see a lot of waterfalls coming in. Coutinho's a tall guy, really able to get it in the corner. And that's great from Panek. He didn't panic, right? And he just hit better lobs.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I'm a smart guy sometimes.
No, I agree. And look, that was kind of my Berrettini reference, if you will, right? Like,
yes.
Win or lose, he plays on his terms, right? And I haven't seen Coutinho play much, but he is definitely what you would call the most visible player on this court right now.
What a great get. It was a great move by Panek. He was tired of getting waterfalled, so he cheated up on there. Coutinho ran back and got it.
Now let's see how willing Panek and Merckx are to sit back and wait for one here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or not give one up.
And this is where I would really like to see, if possible, Merckx take an extra step back and make some of these overheads rollers. I think you really, with Jefferson in the forehand, I'd like to see him swing at one on that side of the court, right? Just a different look. Obviously, he can swing at forehands from anywhere. There's the roller. I really think that's his best overhead. And it gets on you quick. It's heavy with topspin. That's a great close there.
Yeah, he read that so well. But I think he made the point earlier about their grips, right? He's starting to key in a little bit on the grip change. Wow, good ball.
Oh, that's an unbelievable
Good dig.
forehand.
This match already has not been short of shot making.
No, and we're seeing another one. Oh, and they convert the break to stay in this first set. What an unbelievable transition play.
And I think that's huge key there right on the switch to get Merckx in the ad side. His forehand is best shot, right, or what he's most known for.
And that serve, very similar to what we just talked about in the first game. He went very safe because, remember, last game he faulted twice, right? He kind of lost the game for them, faulting twice. Don't do that at this point, right? Force them to beat you. And being the crafty veteran he is, Panek knows that, right? Put it in the box, figure it out from there.
Well, and it almost comes down to it, again, when you've got four players of this extremely high skill level on the court, what advantage do you get by the serve?
Right. Speaking of drop shots, do you think Merckx read that? He was running by the time the ball was coming in on this replay. Ready?
I don't know. Maybe a tip: don't drop shot the 28-year-old.
Yeah, the young lad, right? That's my thought. But again, I do like the drop shot play. I just think it's one of those go to the other person probably, or right. I think, again, even if they lost the point, it's a good thing to do.
Yes.
Because it's in the arsenal. We have it. You can't just sit back in the screens.
It keeps them honest, right?
Yes.
It's the route. And not to mention, too, I also think it's that kind of Rocky Balboa, stomach punch, right? Over time. You keep making a move. It seems so short and quick, but it's a lot. So we've got Love 15.
And I like Panek's movement at the net these last two games. You can really see he's closing on those volleys, and that is just so. and a close call on the baseline to bring us back to 15-all. Confirmed by Mr. Pat Layden in the chair.
Well, great lob by Jefferson there. Went down the line over Merckx's head, right? Pushed him to that Q4 spot, which inadvertently makes you swing it to the deuce side, which you don't understand this, Brian, because your brain is wired the other way. But the #1 missed overhead for righties is wide to the deuce side. You're just opposite.
I'm
'cause
just
you're a
opposite,
lefty.
yeah. Okay. So you said Q4, though, Jason. What are the other quadrants that you're defining for that?
Yeah, so if you look at the court facing us right now, you've got Panek in Q1, Merckx in Q2. Directly behind him is Q3 or quadrant 3, and behind,
And
got
just
a little
some
mixed up.
confusion at the net.
Behind on the ad side there is Q4, right? And that's when you take into account that generally 75% of all players are right-handed that play the game of platform tennis. That lob down the line over the net player's head is the hardest play for the net team to defend. Square to spare, quadrant number 4, Bermuda Triangle, all these different names that you call it, but it's just a great place to lob to cause some confusion and difficulty for that net team.
And a big serve here, down 30-40. Oh, and that ball wanted
was
to
big.
dribble
Yeah.
over, Jason.
You and I were both like waiting here to see what was going to happen.
My heart was about to dip if that thing went over for either team, right? And you saw
yes.
Jefferson like, oh no, how did my top spin not take that over?
Well, and I think to your point, like even if that ball goes over and they make the volley, so what, right? And I'm not going to say he cut it too thin, but
Right.
It's natural. It's human nature to try and get that as perfect as possible. Jefferson's starting to activate a little bit here out of that ad side. Great lob. There's that Q4 lob again. Doink.
Oh, and he got it.
Did he call it? I called it for him.
You did call it for him.
We had a great camera angle. Thanks, Cal, for that. It buzzed right in there at us. Came right into your living room. Here it is. Doink.
Game point here to bring us to 3-4. Very big serve here.
Great return. And I love the switch right out of that. And I think you made a good point earlier, Brian, about Coutinho doing most of the directing on the overheads, right? And if Panek and Merckx can take advantage of this formation, right? Maybe take him out of the, there's a switch. But so that he's not the guy driving the point, I mean. That forehand is just so big.
It is. And again, this is not saying Jefferson's overheads are bad. They're
No,
not even close to
no.
being bad. They're so good.
Yeah.
It's just more or less, okay, how do you want the point constructed? I think Panek and Merckx would say they are okay with safer overheads.
Yeah.
They don't want to see heavy rollers. They don't want to see waterfalls. They don't want to see drop shots like this one. They don't want to see that. They want to expect what's coming so that they can plan accordingly and get offensive.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he had a look at it. I think, and you've seen these guys a few more times than I have, but, you know, in a different partnership, maybe Jefferson's that guy.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
he certainly, it's not a fact that he can't. It's just in this situation right now.
And that is just such a huge return from Coutinho at Merckx at net. I think teams don't do this enough at drive at the net man.
I agree.
It might seem
Totally
obvious,
agree.
but you said it's 22 feet from, you know, the back of the court to the net. When you're returning it, you're probably only about 16 feet. That ball is a laser coming in at you. Even
Oh,
he went for the
I went for the
tweener.
tweener.
And if you're Panek and Merckx, that game is a big one.
Yep.
Do you agree with that from a mental perspective?
I do, and again, as I'm getting smirks from the other guys in the booth in here, but the point is 5-2. I also consider a little bit of a deceiving lead. Like, look what happened last time, right? At 4-1, right? They held 4-3. Here we are, 5-2. Again, could be the same, but I think it can be tough mentally. Hopefully not. I know these two guys, I don't think they view it that way. But again,
No.
I think if you were to look at the point count, would you say roughly right now, Brian, it's 50-50 in terms of point won and lost?
I'm going to say 58% to 42%.
Okay, but again, pretty close.
Pretty
But
close.
5-2 seems staggeringly high, so. But obviously, unfortunately, this is where you would have to call it one of those kind of must-win situations, at least for this game, for this set.
For this set, absolutely.
Great serve. Wow.
There's that heavy kick serve.
You were right. You called it earlier. Andrew Ong and I had a great conversation about this the other day. You don't see many serves in today's game to the ad side for righties that are getting to the side screen first.
No.
You used to see it all the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, at least at the top level, you see underhand serves, right? You see push serves. They don't care about hitting a great serve. Get in the box, hit a volley. And we have now 3 set points here. And I jinxed him.
Yeah,
His
Joe
serve has
Buck.
been so good. Yep,
Well done, Joe
exactly.
Buck. Yeah.
But 2 more shots up, 40-15.
Great lob. Now again, I love that first ball by Panek. Go right down the middle, get yourself set up. We haven't really seen Coutinho on the ad side. I'm curious to see what his forehand looks like over there.
Still
big.
Still gigantic.
Still big.
I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing. Yep, and this is where, he gets enough topspin on it. It might be at your head, and you still have to volley it because it's going to fall down. It's not going to go out with that much top.
Great ball.
Oh, it's a great get.
Great get.
Didn't even look like he was running, Jason,
No,
right?
well,
Just a nice little jog for him up to
I mean,
the
that was 3 strides.
Yeah, right. He's a tall guy, so it's easier for him.
Wow.
Well, that's a great let go from Panek. Being the player I would have hit that and probably hit it out.
So does your forehand as a lefty too
Yeah,
over there.
That's fair. Thanks for bailing me out.
You know what? I got you.
Thank you.
Doink. Almost had it. They seem very calm, at the net, which has been good. And obviously they feel pretty comfortable. They've got the skills, but their movement is pretty calm. Their legs, their feet, their hands stay so quiet.
That's a great spot drive, even better volley.
I know. Golly. Coutinho really covers a lot of court, and that was my turn. I jinxed him on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing just phenomenal paddle in the backcourt and at net. He's all over the place. Great first volley on the back of the line. And a big vamos from Coutinho as Merckx got a forehand for the first time in maybe 3 games.
He hasn't hit one in a long time, yeah. Great lob. Good setup. All right, now let's see if they can sustain some net pressure here. Because we've got set point for Coutinho Jefferson. There it is, back to deuce. I think to your point about the score, Brian, is if nothing else, this game, hopefully they can, let's just say Panek, Merckx do not win this game. It leads them some positivity moving in. Again, a good battle here.
Oh, absolutely. And let's say they lose this game, right? So that's a 6-2 set. That could have been 5-3. And then remember they lost another game, a big game at 4-3, right? Just before this. You know, they could look at each other and go, hey, we should be out there in the first set 4-all, right? And that's the crazy part about this game is it's a point here or there is the difference between a 6-2 set and, you know, staying 4-4.
Don't get me started on the scoring system. Denise tried. She tried to bait me into it.
I'm not
Sean's
gonna bait
laughing
you,
at me
don't
over
worry.
there, yeah.
But, you know, this game with the scores kind of reminds me almost of like a, you know, like a golf handicap. You go, oh, well, it's 0-0, but we had 1,000 deuces, right? And you hear people go, oh, well, I'm a 5 handicap in golf, but I shot a 137 yesterday because of X, Y, and Z conditions, right?
Well, again, we've got the switch in the backcourt here. And it's almost like, what are you going to wait for? You're going to wait for the backhand or the forehand from the middle of the court. And look, they're trying to play as many over his head. There's the first one down the middle in a while. Because they know that that's what's there.
And in this setup, I would love to see if they can put pressure in Coutinho's corner.
Yes, I agree.
And force him to move over and hit a forehand.
He's the newest player to the game, correct? Out of this group?
Merckx may be newer.
Okay.
But I would say relative to Panek and Jefferson, much newer.
Great lob, though.
Right? And you can see, again, you know, you may say, okay, well, you know, Jefferson has swung at 0 backhands, and that's fine. That's just fine. You lob that well, right? It gives you time to move to your spot and hit forehands. Gives you time to set up your partner. You do not need to swing off both sides.
Well, and this is a great camera angle right here, you know, for in front of us, Merckx and Panek, right? Look how many times their shoes are falling backwards or behind the service line to hit an overhead. And that's just, it gets tough after time to continue to play effective shots. Like there's one there.
And that leads to that, right? Of forcing the issue. We wanted to see Coutinho's backhand. Merckx thought he had the opening and went a little too close to the line during set point.
And he's scared of the forehand, right? So he doesn't want to dip that ball back over the middle to put it to that howitzer.
Yeah,
Wow. Jefferson has done a really nice job of staying calm, right? He's volleying so well. Every time he touches the ball, it's landing behind the service line, keeping Panek and Merckx deep in the court, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's missed an overhead yet, right? And he's painting the back of the line. Like that ball is between the service line and baseline. He's hitting that almost from his own baseline. That's
there
good.
it is. We jinxed him. That's the first ball he's hit inside the front half of the court.
Yeah, right. A volley, forehand volley off of a ridiculously hard
50-mile-an-hour flick forehand. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Brian loves that shot. Good dig off the near doink there.
You can see both teams are playing a not conservative, but more conservative point, right? Of course, Jefferson and Coutinho know it's set point. Everyone does, but it's a bigger deal to be able to win this set and be smart. And Merckx and Panek know there's no reason just to miss the ball and go to the second set. They're in this set still, and they truly believe they can come back and win this one.
And to your exact point about asking about the score, in 5-2 in tennis, lights out. Stick a fork in him, he's done. You know, 5-2 in paddle, everybody on this court has won or lost a dozen sets from the same score line.
Oh, yeah.
dozen sets this year, maybe.
That's a great lob down the line.
Yes. I don't know if we're allowed to comment, but it looked deep from here.
Contested ball on the side of baseline. But, hey, these guys are pros. Hey, they thought it was out, thought it was in.
Yeah.
Let's get back to deuce. Serve it up. And that forehand just missed by Merckx. He's just missing that spot. Another set point here.
Good ball. Good counter drive back. Their balls in transition are so solid.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like we've seen and a little loose of a backhand there from Merckx to take us to the end of our first set. Coutinho and Jefferson take it 6-2. We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CSM Media.
At Volley, we build tools to unlock your potential. The new Volley PTI feature breaks down your game like never before. Ever wondered, which partner has impacted my PTI the most? What's our win percentage as the favorite or underdog? Do I perform differently in 2 or 3 set matches? Now, it's all at your fingertips. The PTI tool is free to everyone. Download the Volley app today and level up your game. We'll see you on the court.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Birchwood Open in Highland Park, Illinois, with this round semifinal matches between Coutinho, Jefferson, and Merckx, Panek. And that first set was 6-2 to the East Coast team of Coutinho and Jefferson. Really tight, contested set. This is one of those things where you always hear people say, oh, it might be closer than the score indicated. There were just a few games here and there that, you know, I think could have gone either way. Would you agree with that, Jason?
Absolutely. I think, again, I'm curious to see what changes they make. Again, obviously I'm familiar with the Chicago guys game here, but Panek and Merckx, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to change sides off the return right off the bat? Are they going to look to flip more? Maybe even they speed it up a little bit, because I think that it'd be interesting to see. Again, I haven't seen Coutinho and Jefferson, but what happens if they pick up the speed of play? Maybe they get a little out of control. I don't know. I just, for me, this is such a curious point when you listened to you earlier said play tournaments, play new people. You don't know what's coming back from the other side of the net, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're Merckx and Panek, they're talking to each other right now and saying we played B-, maybe C+. I think they both probably think, okay, I missed too many serves, I missed too many backhands, forehands. I fully expect them to clean that up. I think this is where, like I mentioned at the start of the match, always have a little lag when you have a big win, right?
Yeah.
You just beat a really, really good team in Andrew Ong and Mitch Granger, who have a ton of tournament experience, right? They're fantastic players. After you beat a team like that, it's so hard to keep your energy up. And do I think that's the contributing factor, like the main factor? No, of course not. Coutinho and Jefferson played spectacular paddle, but I do think that is always somewhere in the subconscious a bit when you're playing these matches.
Well, and I think I think they also, Coutinho and Jefferson, they dictated play, right? So, and I think that was my comment too, and where I was going with that is, what can they do to be more in control, put the match on their terms?
Yeah, and I think it could be.
It's maybe a bunch of those will help.
Yeah, I was going to say some lucky lek chords could help. I think some of it may even just be, probing drives, right? Instead of just going, okay, we're going to throw up a lob, just make Coutinho and Jefferson beat you on some of the drives. I think where we're seeing them is they're waiting for the right ball, which is, of course, what you should do. But I think even like a ball like that, right, where Coutinho flicks a backhand, that's not trying to win the point. All that's trying to do is make sure these guys run up to the net and hit a forehand, hit a volley. Super smart to do.
I agree, and we talked about that in the first match with Denise with the women's semis too, right? Those drives, lobs still win matches, even in today's game. But if the team thinks or expects or knows that you're going to lob more than you're going to drive, they get to sit back. So throwing those drives in, if nothing else, to make them have to be prepared, or they're not prepared and they win and you get a short ball off of it. I think that's also an interesting point. One other piece I want to put onto that too is both Merckx and Panek drive the ball phenomenally well. And one of the questions I always love asking my partners, Brian, as I'm getting to know them, is, do you prefer to drive off the screen or do you prefer to drive off the deck? If you respond, do you prefer to drive off the deck, that means I need to drive more so that you can have more of the ball that you like. Because if I lob more, then you're not getting what you want.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I've also never been accused of overanalyzing paddle, so, you can take with that what you want.
I think you sound pretty intelligent talking about it right now, so you might not be overanalyzing it, but you're analyzing it correctly.
We've got a great booth relationship going. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Try my best.
Oh, there it is. He almost missed that, though, because, again, he was in expecting a drive, and they threw the lob. So, again, that combo goes both ways. When you start driving more, they have to bite and chomp into the net. And that lob becomes that much more effective because it doesn't have to be as good. And to your point earlier, Coutinho's a tall guy. Maybe noticing they're picking a little bit more on Coutinho on the deuce side here. Does that seem right? I've seen a few more overheads over there.
I'm going to say a little bit more. Yeah, I think we've seen his forehand be humongous as he's moving to the middle of the court, right? And I think, do I think he can hit it going, to the side screen? Obviously, right? Absolutely. But I'd like to see them force that issue a bit.
Yeah.
Again, just changing looks, changing the dynamic of the point.
I love hearing the commentary. Great job on the mics, guys. I love hearing what they said on the court. Denise, and again in the women's, was talking about the positive comments partner to partner. But even there, just a couple little comments. Great job to the crew here, Sean and Cal.
And that's the ball exactly I'm looking for, right? He's just pushing that. I think that is the right play, because eventually you'll get a ball that, he is not going to be expecting, right? And you might get a weaker volley, you might get a weaker overhead because of it, and be able to really turn that into an offensive ball.
Yeah. And again, the court is small, so I think movement is one of those underrated things, right?
Absolutely.
But if again we talked about the dimensions, but to go from the service line up to the net continuously is a cardio event, right? And it's hard to do repeatedly, especially when you've got a ball traveling at you that you got to defend yourself or play a shot with. Good read on that drive. Again, you saw the grip change. And you can see Merckx hitting every one of these overheads, and look at how close he's getting to the net because they're worried about that drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, Coutinho has been aggressive. So anytime I'm going near him, I'm crashing, and we've seen Jefferson really be able to hammer forehands as well, right? So both guys have proven, okay, they have the offense. You have to protect that as rule number one.
Good ball. I cut it off with the one-hander. Oh, what a get. Oh, that's hard.
Oh, that's such a good paced shot by Coutinho there to slide it right past Merckx after that get.
And great point. I mean, the key is the speed there. He hits that any harder than that, it kicks up off the screen. He's got a shot at it.
That was just the first point of this game.
I was actually going to say, and first point. They're doing a nice job of mixing up their patterns. And again, the hard part is as the net team swings it from side to side, it makes it easier for that baseline team to also swing it side to side, which causes you trouble in transition.
And you hear that great call by Merckx. Hey, too good of a lob, bravo. Partner, come back. Let's play another point back here.
Great hands. Did that point go back and forth 3 times, I think, right?
If my math is correct, 1, 2, 3 is correct. Yes, that sounds right to me. I had to use my fingers there for a second.
We didn't get to the toes, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Shoes are still on. And that was just our second point of the first game.
I'm exhausted.
We could be in a battle here.
I think we're going to see
He wanted
the
that
Chicago team start to be a little more patient and again, probe. And then when the ball is too juicy to not do, swing at it.
Well, I mean, they're lobbing a little bit better too, right? So we point to transition. They've switched from the net to the backcourt a few times. That only happens when you lob well.
Hold on. Hold on. So I think Merckx is upset about a hindrance a little bit.
I know the hindrance rule. I just didn't think that was it. I was saying it's only you guys.
Or is he saying he touched the bottom of the net?
I think he must have said he touched the bottom of the net. Yeah, we're gonna.
We'll
have
hear
to,
about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have to figure that one out. And if people in the chat who are watching think they know,
Yeah.
let us know, and we can shout that out to the people watching.
As I say to everybody on the weekly stream, Brian, text me if you have any thoughts, questions, or comments about that call.
You know, I'm not giving out my phone number to that many people. So.
I made that mistake once. Nonetheless, we're 15-0, second point. Oh, he read that well. I think that's the problem with the down-up overhead, right? Is over time it can be almost too predictable.
Agreed, and he's hit some really, really great ones tonight. So again, that's not, you don't abandon that, but what I would like to see him do is hold it and maybe just snap one off.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Hit it hard, or go down the middle, right? Or just change it, because I think so you see another one, even though Panek didn't hit that hard, he was all over that, getting ready to hammer that.
I love here's these drop shots.
And I love it, right? You're not trying to win the point. You're tiring the guy out by running back and forth 3 times in a row.
in. Great hands.
Open
Oh, no,
just out.
Just long?
Yep.
Okay. We couldn't see that one.
And great shots by Coutinho. I mean, just dictating play, right, and forcing the issue.
And again, there's that drop shot, obviously. I've made the comment earlier today, but I just love seeing you force your opponents out of their comfort zone.
You know, everybody is the best player on earth in practice, right? Everyone can hit the slice, the dice, the cutters, all that stuff. Doing that in a semifinal in the second set is a whole different animal, right? So
great ball.
And that's just a really good forehand. A little miscommunication, I think, at net who's going to go get that, but that's the first time they've had that, right? I think these guys are communicating great at net and have been able to track down most of these balls.
Yeah, and I think to Merckx said that's the first point in a while we've seen him have a north-south trajectory with his footwork. He was very aggressive. He came into the court to go get that short ball, and it paid off. He seems to be creeping a little farther forward. I think he read the same thing. I don't know if he can hear us.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
And this is where, again, he wants to avoid the overhead bombardment that they've been getting, right? And that's how you do it. You just throw some cheeky balls in like that. Coutinho's been so good at net, and he wanted to go and drop shot that one. It got a little too far, and Jefferson got a little flummoxed by Coutinho coming across the net.
Well, and again, I think it was partially, too, to your point, the overhead wasn't as effective because Merckx was making the dynamic change. And all of a sudden, he's feeling the pressure to do more maybe with his shot. Nonetheless, 2-love. Little momentum change here, which is nice. It's one of my favorite things, as long as you're always on the positive end of the momentum change.
Yeah, that's the key word.
And again, with Jefferson here on the ad side, a little bit more of that going to the traditional pick on the ad.
And I think right now they're in the mindset of, let's make this match just a little bit longer, right? And I think we've seen Coutinho's forehand. That's a great volley from Panek to go behind him there. Coutinho's forehand is the biggest weapon on that side of the court, right? So let's take it away. And when we can be attacking like that, go to his side screen. You know, just smart playing here by Merckx and Panek to start the second set. And that's the roller I want to see more of.
Yeah.
I think it's just a really tricky ball. Get a shot at getting the nick. Stays low. The only issue with that, and this is, you know, after a tough earlier match, it requires you to do a lot more energy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying that from a cozy booth here. You know, he's hit a lot of overheads today, so it also could be some fatigue, although I doubt it. And that's a great move by Coutinho up the line. He read that one.
And great job by Panek to read the read, right? And not bail out.
You look at his hands, look at his feet, didn't move.
I like this point. And this is one of those points which I would say is a lot more often than people think. But this is pretty 50-50 right now in this rally. They're lobbing well, they're throwing probing drives in from the backcourt, but they're also controlling the net. I think one of the issues, Brian, with a lot of league and or club players, if you want to call it, is they feel like they have to be in control all the time. But, you know, right now these four guys are kind of willing to be neutral and almost do nothing to wait for an opportunity to take advantage.
That's a great way of phrasing it. I think in that vein, I think you play to win the game, right? That's what Jim Mora, right? Like, hello. Oh, that's just a mishit volley drop shot by
Well,
Panek,
off of two let cords prior to that.
Correct. But you play to win. But look, if you're not given the winning shot opportunity, set up for the next one, right? Work through it and try to figure out a time to be able to get your ball to win the point.
In other sports, right, we reference plays or set up plays, right? Play action pass in football, number of things in other sports. But here, too, whether you win or lose a blitz or you win or lose a drop shot, it's all setting up for something else.
And again, I'm really loving Coutinho dropping these guys. It is just so smart, and his hands are so good, right? Like that drop shot, might have not been the best one, but he's so talented. He's getting the next one. Yeah.
And I don't know if Denise is watching, but I'm going to send her a text, and we're going to talk about all the drop shots that have been hit. Teaching moment there, I want to point out, you saw Merckx come in off the blitz, right? And he went right dead center of the court. So many players just go forward on their half because it's your side, but you go dead center to the middle, and that's one of the only times I'll condone professionally. You go to that forehand volley, and you just take whatever comes at you.
And we are at 3-0. Merckx and Panek up in the second set against Coutinho and Jefferson. Differences between the first and second set, Jason, that are driving this score change. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head to begin with. They're a little bit more patient. They're picking their spots a little bit more. But I want to comment on their footwork and their movement. They're a little bit more deliberate, right? And the flip side is you got Coutinho, who was the driving force, the dominant player in the first set, I would say. Not just size, his stature, AC/DC, back in black, Brad Gilbert reference there, but I think that he was dominating the court presence, right? Where now they've got him backing up into the green, into the corner a little bit more, and you've got Panek and Merckx who are taking advantage of the space. They're being a little bit more oppressive in their movement and taking control of the court. Maybe a ball change here?
That's what
Check the math on that.
That's what I was thinking, yep.
I mean, we don't know what's going on out there anymore.
No, this is a lot of conversation, though.
That is not. I told him to knock it off. I think. All right. Here we go, guys. Love.
How about you? What do you think, Brian, in terms of that first to second set dynamic change?
Yeah, I just think there's been less. I mean, this game is errors driven, right? And
Unfortunately,
right? And I think that you're just seeing a lot less errors. And I think Coutinho might have swung at, I'm going to say, 200 offensive shots and missed like 4 of them. That's just a remarkable rate. He's maybe missed 7, which is still really good. But 7, is more than obviously the first set. So that's kind of my thought. I think again, they'll get back into this set. You can obviously not count a team out that's as good as them. But that's my thought, and I think we'll see if they can adjust to Merckx and Panek just being a little smarter. And that's a great disguise.
That is
right?
so good.
And, I mean, that is just such a good, smart play. And Merckx recognizes danger, come in, let me get out of the way, and just get it off the back screen. Back to neutral.
Again, and again, I don't want to overplay that comment, but your willingness to kind of do nothing, tread water, right? To your point, manage the wave, I think is one of the things that you mentioned earlier, right? You know everybody out here could beat you at any time. What can you do to stay out of danger?
Right? So this is I don't know if you have young kids, Jason, but a quote from one of my favorite childhood characters of Winnie the Pooh, which is sometimes, doing nothing leads to the best sort of somethings, right?
Love that.
So they're not doing anything you might say remarkably special, right? You're not seeing the cutters, you're not seeing some of that, but you're just seeing tactical paddle being played here. And that's right now winning formula, and that's a really, really good overhead that stayed low from Panek.
Yeah, I do. I got 3 kids. We're past the Winnie the Pooh stage in my house, believe it or not, despite how young I look. Brian. But I love that overhead. Those couple overheads by Panek there are some of my favorites. You know, you hit that deep cutter right at their feet, make them have to decide, are they going to take it off the deck or are they going to let it go to the screen? And after the third or fourth one, you can see Jefferson got put in a place there where he wasn't maybe really sure how it was going to play off the screen, but wasn't confident to take it off the deck. Big Winnie the Pooh fan, though. Thanks for bringing that up.
Always.
Oh, Lecord. Again, he's only 28, I think, so.
I think he's 31, but it's still young.
I'm sticking with 28
Okay.
because it just seems faster.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think what we saw a few shots ago, I want to, you know, on that let cord, right, that Merckx went up and got, you see so often from club players, they then hit it to the other person.
Correct, yes.
And that's where it's not being mean, it's not being, you know, you're not anti the person. You have to go back to that person because, again, you've caused a variable, right? The net is your friend in that case with caught a let cord. Have to stick with that person.
And the same with the drop shot.
Yes.
So I think to that point, and we've seen that success from, you brought up Coutinho hitting a bunch of those drop shots, and you got to go right back at the guy who just came in to go get it.
Yep. And Coutinho with a great, you know, on top of the net, offensive volley.
Yeah.
Yelling, come on. He senses that this game, right? If you go down 4-0, obviously the set's not over. Of course not. But it is a tricky, tricky hole to dig yourself out of. Versus, again, 3-1, we said that earlier, right? That's a, you know, a break and a hold, which in a game that is hard to hold in.
Yes.
You know, you can
Great ball.
definitely get back in this easy. And that's just a little miscommunication from Merckx and Panek off of a great lob on that red.
But look at how low this ball is. Yeah, and to me, again, teaching moment there. They just got in too far, right? He was never going to drive that ball. It was a great pace drive. He was never going to drive it. You just stay back at the service line, accept his lob, and take control of the net. But hold there. So we got 3-1 to serve, second set. And I'd love to see these guys here just no worries. Just stay with it, right?
Yeah, if you're both teams, I think you actually kind of like where you're at, right? I'm not going to say Coutinho and Jefferson are happy to be losing the second set, but they just won a great game, right?
Yeah.
And they feel good, right? I think they're playing good, smart paddle. And if you miss volleys off of that big of a rip, I think that's kind of a oh shucks, right? You know, he might not get that lucky to hit that ball again. So.
And I think that's my point earlier about the scoring system, trading points, you know, what's the point total, et cetera. And what makes great players, in my opinion, in any sport is you're willing to take the little chips and wins, right? Because they equal to winning the battle in the whole war. Not sure what happened there, Brian.
Yeah, it's getting a little chippy out there, and I'm not sure if it's the line calls. I think it might be the line calls, which, again, being watching from here, it's hard to tell. But it looked long to me, that volley.
And again, you know, our chair umpire, Pat Layden up there, right, doing the best that he can. He's not there to call the lines. He's there to help with, you know, confirm the calls or divert the calls, if you will.
And for those who might not know, Pat Layden, he's not going to be bullied by these players.
No.
If you try to
umpire,
bully him, good luck. And if you do, let me know, and I'll try to get some favors from him or something. But I don't think that's how he operates. So
no.
Really, really good from the chair ump, right? Just any beef maybe going on, let's squash it. Let's play some paddle.
Yeah. Again, I love that little poke from Coutinho.
Yeah, that backhand's very tricky. And again, it's high margin, right? He's not trying to really win the point from that. But would it shock me if he gets them to miss something off of it? No, it doesn't shock me if he would do that. Absolutely.
You can see how low they have to go just to get that ball,
right?
You know, to get it back.
And that's the one going to his side screen. I think he's so comfortable moving middle, right? You see him take two big steps. He just was caught a little off guard and tried to push that down the line.
40-15. Double game point to go up 4-1. I do like, to your point, Coutinho's body language and movement seems to be a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more aggressive. He's trying to take a little bit more control of the space on the court. So I think that's a good sign for the Coutinho Jefferson team. I don't know if he took a sip of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, maybe a black coffee between sets, right? To,
You know, maybe jumped in off the buffet and had a cookie in between the changeover, got the sugar raging a little bit.
Yes. Speaking of,
Oh, that's nice.
that's a great get.
But to your point there, he didn't go right back at Merckx again.
Yep, that's where I would have maybe gone at him and shown him the I'm sorry hand and walk back and take the point.
And he wouldn't have cared.
No.
Right?
Absolutely
Everyone knows what they're getting into.
We got game point number 2 to go up 4-1 here in the second set at the Birchwood Club. Birchwood Open, and a wide overhead again, kind of forcing the issue from Panek there.
Tough miss there. Deuce. Equally tough miss.
Yeah, and that again, that's where if you're Jefferson, you go partner, keep swinging at that piece.
Yes.
Because that is our bread and butter of a ball, and they get another look here off of Jefferson. Great forehand that caused the missed volley.
Good lob. You know, strategy point here, positioning that I'm seeing from this camera angle, right? Jefferson's doing a great job of lobbing down the line to that Q4 lob, and I'd love to see, like there, Coutinho start, instead of going middle, like you're going to dump and reset, him shifting way out wide to that forehand side screen to look to cut off and maybe get a drive opportunity because they're swinging it wide.
So I'm newer to paddle. Why does lobbing down the line matter? What's the benefit of lobbing down the line if you're Jefferson and Coutinho?
So lobbing, good look. Again, that's a shot. He's got to hit. He's got to go with it.
And that's the one that you want.
So that lob down the line, so you have to look at the court almost like through the lens of a camera, right? So if you lob down the line, the camera lens and the light, flashlight camera, et cetera, whatever you want it to be, has to go towards the big space in the court.
And that is, he caught Jefferson a little off guard there on that, going, low, kind of high but slower to his upper torso.
We got 4-1 in the second set. Corient, the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 24-25 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth management who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at corient.com.
So 4-1, I think all players understand that was a big game, right? I think that was a big game, and we're going to see if Coutinho and Jefferson can work their way through this next game. I again, never count any paddle team out, especially as good as they are, but you always are curious, right? Do they go, okay, let's move on and go to the third? I think absolutely not, but it is always a question, right? If people go, okay, you know what, let's just fully hit the reset button, see in the third set.
That's what Andre Agassi used to do.
Right? I mean, and I think a lot of paddle players do it, right? Because, and it's a decent look, but again, he's doing that from deep in the green, right? Really tricky shot again. Very talented player, so he might, like that look, but that's one where I probably try to just lob it and stay in the point.
I agree with you. Again, I'm on the record as saying 4-1 I think is the most, deceiving lead in paddle. And look, you can tell 2 points, they're up 30 love already. I think you just keep going. You just keep playing, because the reality is as much as Panek and Merckx have gotten better in the second set, right? They're still down a set.
Oh, absolutely.
The pressure's on them.
Oh,
right?
100%. 100% agree. And that was just a very sneaky shot, catching Jefferson off guard here just slightly. And he was there too, right?
Yeah.
I think it kind of just like hit the hosel of his paddle versus the actual face.
Don't hear the hosel very much.
No, you don't.
It's a great term.
And there's just that drop shot, right? Short angles to one screen, just a little more awkward of a play. 30 all.
And just like that, right? I just got done saying how they were still in great shape.
Right? Yeah. And we got a break point here for Merckx and Panek to go up 5-1 in the second set of the Birchwood Open.
I love the little pressure that they put on them in the return game here, right? With that move by Panek off of that return. We haven't seen too much of that return game strategy like that yet.
Yeah, and I think that's where you see some of these teams at the highest level, I think, really doing that, right? We have, one of the best, a lot of the best teams in the country here, but with Graham McNerney and Adam Morgan playing on their court, Graham McNerney is in almost every return Adam's hitting because Adam's return is so good. I think you could have Brian do that Brian Panek could do that on Merckx's return, and that's just a little bit of pressure. Does that mean they're going to miss the volley? No, but it might mean they misplace the spot. They don't hit what they're going to do. Could be a assortment of things.
Anything you can do to get their eyes to just come up off the ball on their paddle just for a split second, right, and make them second guess any decision out there. I mean, and that's more than just paddle. It's a life thing, right? Second guessing any decisions.
Oof, that's heavy. But you are right, absolutely.
There's his forehand. Just
Great
sounds
volley.
different.
It does, and
Great
it's funny.
ball. Oh, around the post.
Oh, and he got it.
it.
That is an
He got it.
unbelievable shot by Brian
What a
Panek to go
drop.
and get that. Unbelievable drop shot, but to go around the net post there, that was unbelievable.
Great replay. And look, you don't want to give Coutinho a hard time for hitting too good of a drop shot.
No.
But it goes outside the net post. It opens that up, right? As opposed to keeping it more of the center of the court. It doesn't go out wide. Maybe have a little blood.
It wouldn't be a semifinal match without a little bit of blood, right, on a paddle court. The grit is so sharp on these paddles these days, right?
Looks like we got Brian Panek maybe going to go hit the med kit. Thank God I'm not tournament director for this one.
So while he's going to his bag, wanted to touch on, Jason, APTA Nationals this year happening in Philly. Unbelievable city. They've been hosting it a ton in the last 10, 15 years. Format is a little different this year, though, yeah?
Mm-hmm. So this year they're going Thursday through Saturday, with Saturday being the marquee day. So you're going to have the women and men's finals kind of underneath the lights. It's going to be great. Personally, I'm a big fan of it. As I was saying to Denise earlier today during the women's semis, look, what makes paddle great is the community, the camaraderie, the sportsmanship, the cities, the people, the players, right? So get everybody together, make it about that. Trust me, the play is going to be there.
Yeah.
These men and women playing, the play and the level is going to be there, and the spectators want to be a part of it. So make it more of an event, right? And I think it's going to be fantastic. Philly always does, to your point, a great job. I've never been at a bad event in Philly.
No, I haven't either. And I think this event is a good example to show under the lights. You can't see from the camera angles because the main clubhouse is kind of behind, but there are, 250 people maybe in there watching, a lot of chairs, people outside having a great time. I think, these are the events that really showcase our sport in the best possible way, and I'm excited to see Nationals this year under the lights for the finals.
One of my favorite memories, I've been lucky to be a part of a number of nationals here in Chicago, and our last nationals, we did the women's final on Saturday night, and it snowed, and it was interesting, and et cetera, but I'll never forget, for me, we had full bleachers, the place was packed, the atmosphere was just electric, and look, who doesn't like a party? Let's be honest, and knowing these paddle guys as well as you and I do, we love a party.
We love a good party.
I'm still waiting on my invitation and ticket to go out there for Philly, but I'm pretty sure it's coming.
I'm not the right guy to ask for that, unfortunately.
Oh. Well, no, I'm hoping the people listening
yes,
are going to.
Maybe they'll do that. And Coutinho and Jefferson up to a 30-15 lead here in this game, and that last point we just saw the replay on, just such a good spot volley, right? Hitting the spot that a lot of people say is the wheel, right? The kind of like the armpitish area to have an awkward spot between a forehand volley and a backhand volley, and that was done to perfection.
Yeah, I think as the sets and the match amps up, the footwork does too, right? Which is to all the club and local and league players, right? Typically, as matches go on, a lot of times the footwork, et cetera, tends to slow down. Whereas here, these guys are, you know, and the women too, are hardwired in. So they're going to move better, right? Left and right.
Absolutely.
Gives them a better volley position.
And that one, again, Coutinho's hands are so good, he just got him in an awkward spot. He just was slightly moving, maybe expecting a lob. Just missed the volley. 30-all with Brian Panek serving in the black with his partner, Jonas Merckx, in the green up at net. With Rafa Coutinho in the black that just returned it. And now in the corner, Jefferson in the blue sweatshirt.
And it's been a really entertaining match. Again, I don't know that any four of these guys have ever played before.
Play each other? Yeah, no, I don't think so.
It's been really fun to watch. And as we said, it's kind of like the first dates of paddle, right? They're out here, they're throwing probing drives and hitting different shots. Great move. There he got caught again. That waist level, right hip.
And that's just a really tough one where you need to go in because you want to take the net, but there's risk, inherent risk, right? And his hands are so good, I think, right, he should go in. But that's the same spot, just happened again. He might have gotten caught there. So I think it's one of those where go in, but maybe try to change the angle slightly just so you're hitting a backhand instead of a forehand.
And I think we talked earlier, you know, Panek and Merckx are driving a little bit more, right? So they're getting them in those uncomfortable positions as opposed to just going back and lobbing that ball.
Yes, definitely are driving more, driving the right ball.
Great shot, good move.
Oh, and that's great hands.
There it was.
And that is the second set of our men's semifinal match between Merckx and Panek playing against Coutinho and Jefferson. So we will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CSM Media.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
At Volley, we build tools to unlock your potential. The new Volley PTI feature breaks down your game like never before. Ever wondered, which partner has impacted my PTI the most? What's our win percentage as the favorite or underdog? Do I perform differently in 2 or 3 set matches? Now, it's all at your fingertips. The PTI tool is free to everyone. Download the Volley app today and level up your game. We'll see you on...
And welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Birchwood Open in Highland Park, Illinois, with the men's semifinal match between Merckx and Panek and Coutinho and Jefferson. We have split sets, with Coutinho and Jefferson taking the first set 6-2, and Merckx and Panek taking the second set 6-1. And again, it's been a great match here with a lot of great adjustments from set to set. I'm excited to be here with Brian Fegg. Brian Panek is out on the court. But we are getting ready, waiting for the guys to come. We did have Brian Panek, who had a little cut on his hand that I think has since gone in to maybe grab a Band-Aid to check that. And again, I want to, at this point, send a big thank you to all of our Birchwood Open staff, Allison and Adam Morgan, and the staff here at the club, as well as the APTA people that make these events go on so so easily and make it look effortless, as we would say. And I can personally say that they do such a great job for the game of platform tennis across the country. We're excited to see what's going to happen next here in this third set. Because we've had a lot of good changes back and forth between the two teams. And here come the guys back out onto the court. If my memory serves, we're going to have Jefferson and Coutinho to serve to start this third set. With Jefferson to serve in the blue top, Coutinho in the black top will be at the net. Returning here on the near side, it looks like they are not switching, so we're going to have Merckx in the green top and Panek in the black top in the ad side. So love, third set. Here we go. You ready, Brian?
I'm ready. We're going the distance. And I got to tell you, I have no idea who's going to win this match. and it's honestly, that's a testament to how good these guys are, right? I think you saw in the first set, Merckx and Panek, maybe, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, a little fatigued mentally from their match before. Coutinho and Jefferson come out hot.
Yeah.
Right? Coutinho's forehand, unbelievable. Jefferson's lobbing hands, remarkable. Second set, we saw some adjustments, but again, you see a score of 6-1, you go, oh, that wasn't close. That set was very close.
No.
And a few points here and there.
I asked you after the first set, remember, I said, what do you think the point percentage was? And you said 58-42.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was that far off of that in the second.
No, I totally think that's accurate. And if that was in the second set, now we're at net 50%, right? So we'll see. What adjustments would you make if you're Coutinho and Jefferson here?
Well, I think I'm going to go, introspective for one quick second. The question would be for Jefferson Coutinho, who obviously we'll start with them. They lost the second set. Do you want Coutinho to be the guy, or is Jefferson going to step up and be the guy? And rhetorical question, they can decide right for themselves. But the point is those are two different styles of how you want to play. Coutinho was big. He was a force on the court in the first set. He got put in his corner, as they say, a little bit in the second set. So if he's going to be the guy, he's got to be more aggressive and take more of the court. If it's going to be Jefferson, it's going to obviously be a little bit more of that traditional paddle, lob sets up your drive, etc. So again, two different areas. I think obviously both are capable and great strategy. It's just going to be what do they want to do. And then the flip side, look, if you're the team that wins the second set, you do not do anything any different, right? Sean and the guys have heard me say this 1,000 times. You win the second set, you dance with the girl you came with. You're not changing dates right now. Merckx has taken over the court a little bit. Panek in the switch when they go to him in the deuce side has been incredibly effective with his forehand drive. So again, you just keep doing what you do.
Yeah, what I would like to see Coutinho do is that I love his up-down overhead, but I would love to let it drop just a little more so it gives him the options, right, to hit it to other locations. This game is about deception a little bit, right? And when he's jumping in the air with the paddle high above him, there's only so much he can do. If the ball drops to his shoulder, he can push it. He can do the same shot. He can do whatever he wants. I think it just opens up more options a little bit for him. But again, that's a small tactical tweak.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a criticism of the shot, because again, that's been probably their most successful overhead, right? But I think it's just adapting to what we're seeing from Panek and Merckx in the second set.
And I think that adapting word is key, right? As they drove more, it threw him and his court positioning and his placement and his comfort and his ease and his movement around the net. It just threw him off.
Yes.
Right? So it changed the dynamic. So, again, kudos to them for throwing in what seems like an aggressive style, but driving more, but really not, right? It's still the lob that's winning.
Yes.
But it's the drive that's making the move.
And I would say especially Panek. I think if Panek made 9 backhand errors in the first set, he made about 1 in the second, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. I was going to say maybe. I couldn't remember one, actually. So it might be 0. But that's really, I think, a big game changer here.
And look at the strategy here. They were playing almost exclusively to that deuce side. And again, we are not picking on anybody by any means. But I don't know if you noticed, but Coutinho in that point was 3 or 4 shots, I don't think, moved from the corner there. So they had literally kind of almost iced him out.
And I realized earlier when I said you played away the game, I said Jim Mora. He's known for like playoffs, right? It was Herm Edwards.
Thank you.
So that's my fault.
No,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for correcting me on the live stream chat. That is that's a bummer. I didn't get that. Given I'm from New Jersey, so I probably should have.
How do we see the chat? Maybe I don't want to see the chat.
Oh, you should. Yeah, they're not saying good things about you.
Oh,
so
God.
No, the chat is always good. So if you have any thoughts, on the match, on anything like that, please chime in. Happy to read it, talk about it. Love to hear you all and participate. And there's that return from Coutinho, hitting it right at Panek, whose hands have been great in the last last set for sure. But that thing is just a missile, and his swing is big, right? You see Panek taking a step off the net, and that is just a natural human reaction. It's hard to go, oh, this guy's taking a big swing, I'm going to step up.
And there's a certain scare factor, and I think Merckx has the same forehand dynamic to some degree, right? Coutinho has a big backswing, so it's coming hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in there. You're, again, like you said, you're less than 20 feet away, and a ball is moving 50-plus miles an hour.
It reminds me of the Little League, baseball, right? Because they're on the smaller field, and you see what the, it's, that ball's coming at 60 miles an hour, but the actual, what it looks like miles per hour, because you're so close, is like 100. Right. That's the same thing here. It is so fast, and that is just a human reaction.
They've done really well with this switch in the backcourt. I think that has been a huge tactical strategy piece that has worked really well for Merckx and Panek.
Got you.
Oh, he just missed it. I mean, he was there.
And that's the really kind of funny thing is we take execution for granted in the booth, right? Oh, how does this person not get that, right?
Yeah.
It's like the, you're watching, that's a great backhand. You're watching like football players go, oh, how did I not make that one-handed catch, toe tapping down the sideline while I'm eating cheese puffs on my couch, right? I mean, these guys are just executing at such a high level and again, making the smart play.
But I know Brian well enough to know he was thinking the same thing. How did I miss that?
Yeah, right? And that is what's so frustrating about this game is you've seen, that's such a good get.
Yes.
You've seen such good shot making from all these guys. You've also seen, misses from each of them. And you're like, how the heck did they miss that, right? And that's why this game is such a mental war out there. And this is just a Coutinho really setting up that point, right?
It looks like he's starting to activate or trying to activate those feet a little bit, take a little bit more. Look, he's moving to his left. There's a forehand. But, he's starting to engage a little bit. Good lob. Again, we were commenting before about the number of times that their shoes move back behind the service line.
And again, I like that look from Jefferson. His ball, I don't know if it has more top than Coutinho's, right? But it seems like his probably flatter. I think it has to be flatter with his grip, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes, but yeah.
But I think that's one where I love him swinging at it. I think for them to win, he needs to swing. He can't be the one who's just going to sit there and lob, right? You got to show something, I think.
Absolutely.
And I like him swinging at it. Just clear the net, right? A little margin. Like
and
that.
again,
that's a great forehand. And that leads to the up.
Well, you actually said that earlier about the return down the line, right, at the net guy.
Yep, go at the net guy. And that ball, again, wasn't even hit at 100%. It was hit at maybe 55%, but it was high. It caused Panek to not hit a great first volley. And that's, why we're seeing this transition paddle here.
Dare you say a little bit of Panek?
Dare I say, yes. Nice.
You beat me to it in the first set, so.
You know, you can double up on it. That's okay.
Okay, I'll take it. Great screen drive. We're settling into a rhythm here in the second game.
I was thinking the same thing. I think the first game we were a little erratic across the board. I think now we're really going to see these guys groove a bit.
We're starting to see a little bit more roller from the Jefferson Coutinho, and you made that reference earlier about the him using the down up, the waterfall overhead a little bit, maybe too much.
Yeah, and I've been watching again. I watched Jefferson's match earlier, and I've watched him warming up. His roller is absolutely lethal. I want one of these short balls, him to go down the line and try to get the side screen and just chew the ball up. I saw him doing that in warm-ups. Again, warm-ups is very different than third set 1-0 in a semifinal, but he has that in him. I'd love to see that different look.
I'm a heck of a warm-up player. I don't know about you.
Oh, I see. It's funny. I'm actually the worst warm-up player, and I play marginally better in the match. So
I've seen you play. We've played together.
yeah,
Come on.
I mean,
don't
I think
do that.
you've beaten me every time, though.
Oh, well.
I brought it up, not you. Don't worry. But
Nonetheless,
yeah, I was going to say, and just shout out to, again, I think the paddle community, right? I mean, Jason and I are here in the booth doing this for the first time. We've been paddle, I'm going to say adversaries multiple times, right? And it just speaks to, I think the guys and girls in the game who, play league matches, play tournaments, all these people are usually just, and he had
Clipper
too,
yeah.
are just solid, great individuals and great friends and people. And, this community is one of the best ones out there.
No, and I want to point out, you brought up the national tournament, right? And Denise and I were talking about this earlier. The team nationals coming up, a month later in first week of April. So I believe this year we've got the women are out east
in New Jersey.
The men are here in Chicago. But that's actually, believe it or not, and no offense to anybody or anyone, but that's my favorite event because I love the team culture piece to that.
Me too, and it's one of my favorites. I played it when I was here in Chicago 2 years ago. I'm going to play it this year. My fiance and a bunch of the Chicago ladies are going to New Jersey to go play it. I think it's hosted, again, by a lot of those great clubs out there. So really fun, and to your point, that team element, you can just make your own team.
Yeah.
And what's great about, this game is, A, there's levels and levels and levels, right? And B, okay, you're worse than your friend. You're better than your friend. Who cares? Get on the same team, right? Come up, have some fun at Exmoor with us, right? And have a great day.
Well, and I think to that exact point, right? The level is broad, right? There's something for everybody, but at the same time, it's about your team winning the match. It's not about you and your partner going out there and playing a match for 3 hours. And the social aspect is so good. They key so well on whether you're out east or here in Chicago, because it's split, men and women. But again, the party is so great. The social aspect is so huge.
And we saw there, Merckx trying to get him maybe a little too cute and get over-involved. And that's, I think, the second or third time Jefferson has kind of just, dismissed him a bit, right?
Yeah, stuck it back behind him.
Yeah, I think if he wants to get in those cat and mouse games, I actually think I would try to do it with Coutinho.
Yeah.
Because I think he's more willing to engage in that, right? And I think like this, right?
Yep.
He's more willing to give you that. I think we've seen Jefferson's hands around the net in those combative exchanges have been very tricky, right? And he's not fully engaging him. I think Coutinho may actually fully engage him.
I think you're exactly right. Jefferson is a little bit more stable, right? He's not going to bite into it. He's not going to take the bait.
And I'm going to use a word that I definitely can't spell, but Coutinho is a lot more gyration at the net. He's moving a lot more, right? And you see Jefferson's very stable, calm at net, and I think,
Is that like percolate?
Something like that. It's just movement, I guess. Movement, right?
It's at least our third or fourth transition here, right? From net to backcourt. Here's another one. Oh, he got it. Oh, yeah, he had it.
And he almost had it. But that's just such a smart play to go that spot. And again, if we look at this forehand, right, he's in the blue. That ball cleared the net by 5 feet.
Correct.
There's no way he was missing that in the net, there's no way he was missing that wide or long, right? Because he hit that perfect spot. And that was just a massive return from Panek there.
Again, his bread and butter, the backhand. .40-30 here, Coutinho serving. To hold, to go 2-1. But again, you can see Coutinho's trying to amp it up a little bit here.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, right?
Yes.
I think they need to change something. And I think, why not? Why not pick up the pace? Make Panek run around, right? Make these guys do something different they haven't done.
Well, and as we said before, remember, he was the guy in the first set. He was the force on the court.
Yes.
And I think it seems like right now for this match and this matchup, he needs to continue to be that guy. Good ball, good overhead. Hunting for that nick, Sean. I just heard the from my left. The near doink. Good spot.
And that's why they switch,
Yes.
right? You get that ball, and I don't want to say it, but Coutinho might have not been too happy to almost get his head taken off there. Look, you see the look he gives the partner.
Can you
going,
never hit that again, please?
Please do not hit that again. And hey, every good partnership has that.
Yep.
Every once in a while, right?
You have to be able to have tough conversations, Brian.
And oh, absolutely. And you have to be
There
able
it is
to,
again.
That's another great ball.
So we talk a lot about this on the Chicago live stream, right? That second panel, I affectionately call that the panel of death.
Yeah.
So those last two overheads, one by Jefferson, one by Coutinho, they both went off that second panel. They just lend back to drives in an angle that the net team can't cover.
And I like Coutinho changing up his overhead here. He's starting to hit a little more juice, trying to cut the ball. But again, I'm okay with the rollers. I think to your point, it's the spot. Oh, and that was a frustrated overhead swing, I think, by Coutinho trying to kind of end the point and try to pick it up to your point because I know they're having success. So it's 3-0 now for Merckx and Panek.
Yeah, and again, I'm by no means saying I'm the expert here, but remember at one point I said to question being for Merckx and Panek, do you want to speed it up a little bit? And I feel like they're switching sides, adding in the drives, right, has forced Coutinho to maybe get a little too amped up in this situation, right? So maybe Jefferson can bring him back down and we can, take a breath.
Agreed. I would say that Jefferson's errors are pretty few and far between, and I feel like they're mostly just on like spot volleys, to be honest, and the occasional drive. And I think, do I want him hitting more of the overheads? It's hard to make that adjustment right now. I don't think so, but I like that ball, right? I like him getting more involved.
I agree. Great forehand there, and that's a good miss.
Yeah, that's the right shot. I think
you're going to live with that miss.
And I think, again, that is from the first set being perfect to the third set being, a 2 centimeters from being perfect. And you see up at net, they're now switching sides for Merckx to hit every overhead. Again, just fully trying to maximize their swings and
So here we go. 15-love, 3-0 in the third set. We've had an incredibly entertaining match. I mean, what great shot making we've seen around the post. We've seen drop shots, we've seen rollers, we've seen drives, we've seen it all.
We have. And again, we wouldn't be able to see this without, the Birchwood Club and a lot of these other clubs, being willing to host us and let us kind of take over their club for a morning and afternoon. And that is just such, again, smart playing by Merckx. He steps up, he recognizes it, right? And the drive's coming.
Yes.
But he placed it so well, right? And that ball cleared the net by a foot.
I was just going to comment, the margin was so high.
Look, guess what? If they make that volley, it might not be a great one. He might hit the next one. Or if they let it go through, good. He doesn't care, right?
Nice.
And that's just a really good overhead. Again, that ball's really staying low. You can tell Merckx and Panek sense the wind.
A little blood in the water right now.
Correct. They see that a little bit, and I think they want to continue to speed this up, right? They want to keep this pace going and momentum going.
Great dig.
Yep. Great dig.
Oh,
it just flicked off.
He
the
was
net.
there.
He was there.
So that's game. We've got 4 love, Merckx and Panek.
So what adjustment has to be made? So clearly, again, maybe a dip in energy, a little frustration from these guys. You know, again, they felt great after the first set, felt good in the second. What do they need to do here in this game to get going here?
Great question. And look, I think I'm big on, you know, influence and changing the dynamic and who's in control, right? The first set, Coutinho and Jefferson were definitely the ones dictating play, and they're not controlling the pace right now. To your point, the standard paddle response is slow it down, and we don't want to just go into total lob mode, rope-a-dope, sit back there. But at the same time, they're being reactionary rather than actionary, right? You know, they're not the ones creating the dynamic. So take a second here. They need to find a way to combat this switch, as we just saw right there. And you notice that was literally a do-nothing overhead. And we were talking about this in the other match.
Yeah.
The team that's more willing to play at neutral, a lot of the times in this game wins. And I'd love to see them be a little bit more willing to stay neutral.
And I am going to toot my own horn here because I'm talking and I can. He didn't hit the waterfall.
Yes.
He took it a little bit less, right? And everyone goes, oh, he's going to hit the waterfall. And no, he had a great push overhead, and that was perfect. Same thing right there that we just saw. I mean, he had a great run by Panek, but again, he's very deceptive with that. I want him to push more of those in the corner. I want him to push them at people, change it up.
Well, and the switch in the backcourt by Panek and Merckx has given them more angle, right? So if you continue to go to corners, it then gives your opponents more angle back. So play that ball more down the middle. I talk a lot about, you see the logo on the screen there, the Birchwood Club, right, on the back screen. Play it right underneath it. Give them nothing. Therefore, they have nothing back to give you. So I think, you know, go a little bit more vanilla ice cream here, right? Don't worry about hitting the amazing shot. You know they can get it back. But, again, play the ball down the middle, open up your sides so that you can be in control of that net again.
So just to update everybody on the other semifinal, the #1 seed of McNerney Morgan won over
McKnight
Paul
Rose.
McKnight Rose, yep. So the winner of this will play tomorrow morning at 10, not before 10:30. So please tune in to watch the finals. We have the women's before that, which is going to be just an awesome, awesome match. I'm stoked to watch that also, Jason. So
yeah, it was great to see McKnight and Rose battling. They had a great match, great run. Both those guys, long-time tournament players. It's great to see them do well. And again, the women's final. I think we've got Morgan Secura are playing Cruz and Mendova.
yeah, that is correct.
Great day of paddle. And the forecast looks good, I believe.
Meteorologist Brian says high of 45, low of 30 tomorrow.
Okay. Well, they're going to put the roof up, so we don't need to worry about that rain.
You're right. We're in the dome here.
Yeah, we're in the bubble. 30, 40,
critical
break
serve
point
here.
Yep. I was trying not to, to breathe through it.
But again, the pro he is makes a ridiculously good serve, ridiculously good first volley. I mean, these guys are so talented. They're stepping up to the line. They're not really thinking, oh, I'm going to miss this serve, right? They've done it 1,000 times, 2,000 times before. They're stepping up and going, okay, let's make this serve and let's get going.
They've done 1,000 today. These guys here look like they're just waiting for a good ball that they can change on the lob. See, I don't mind that waterfall there, right? 'Cause
No,
you've got
'cause
him on the run.
He's in an offensive position,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's the perfect time to do it. I just when it's I'm going to use 50-50, but not 50-50 ball. That's the time when you look like you're going to do it, push it down the middle. Look like you're going to do it, push it to the other side screen. Tough first volley there.
Great
off of the
return.
Merckx
Great return. You talked about it. We haven't mentioned it enough, right? All four of these guys are putting such low return of serve. Incredible first volleys.
Yeah, I had the unfortunate pleasure of, maybe not unfortunate, but I played Merckx last weekend, actually, in the Illinois State Tournament, and his return is a problem. It is coming in Mach 15, very hard to see, very hard to volley.
I mean, not even Maverick goes Mach 15.
No, correct. That guy only went Mach 9, I believe.
He got up to 10.
Okay, sorry, 10. Sorry, Tom Cruise.
So we've got advantage, Merckx, Panek. I like their speed control so far again on this net game. They were able to get the switch.
They're going to wait for this. That forehand, I'm okay with the swing. He didn't commit to it, though. He looked at the ball and goes, I should hit this ball.
You're totally right. He didn't think drive first. Drive was second thought.
Yes, and I think that's where that shows that he's been playing paddle not for 15 years, but for like 3 years, right? That's something that you develop, and someone who's so good at that is, Drew Broderick, right? People go, oh, he plays very boring paddle, whatever. He goes, this is going to be the shot unless it hits this exact spot, right?
Yep.
And again, Merckx hit that spot all day long. He just was not prepared to swing it at that spot at that time.
And does that scare anybody else?
Scares me. Yes, absolutely. I want to hit it back. So I prefer my backhand. I want to hit it backhand anytime I see it.
Yeah.
It might not be the right ball. I want to swing hard at it, and that's probably why I'm not winning matches today. But
I don't want to see a ball that is a forehand that he wants to hit. How about that?
No, that too, right? That's the thing. I don't want to give him that. And
just like that is a large
right?
forehand. But look at the lobs. 3 consecutive balls past the service line. You've got him moving backwards.
Absolutely, and I love that forehand. I think he needs that, right? He needs to kind of pump himself up a bit because his forehand is the weapon of choice over there, right? That's where they're really getting, I'm not going to say free, but freer points. And that's a good overhead. He went right at Panek and was able to, get the peg, the unintentional maybe peg. But again, that's just a different look. It's a different overhead than what we're seeing.
Did you know that volley has thrown 5 million balls to players working on their game? Don't get left behind. Get your reps in with volley. Whether it's day or night, you're in control of your training. Volley offers world-class training on demand, helping you sharpen your skills and level up your game, whether it fits your schedule. Ready to join the movement? Start training smarter with volley today.
And volley has some just unbelievable, right? You can work on the first volley, right? It simulates first volleys off of serves. You can simulate lobs, screens, overheads. Very, very cool thing.
I was out there with one of the demos with John, owners, creators of volley, and he put me through the overhead progression, where they're mixing up the lobs to different locations on the court, and you have to hit different lobs based on down the line or cross-court lobs. It's pretty impressive technology. Again, everybody should go do it. Give it a try.
And that's one where, again, it's hard for me to question Merckx at this point. He's playing so well. That's one I would just throw up, right? Or just go continental grip, make him volley it.
And again, I think you're right. Could be just a little bit of experience on that one, right?
Right. Oh,
he's going to get a better one.
Right, exactly. And that was such a good get by
Can we get a
Jefferson.
replay on that?
Yeah, we're going to have to after this point. That was an unbelievable get, making it look so easy.
Oh.
Yep, and we're seeing a few misses here. We're seeing a few misses sprinkle in here, and again, this game is tiring mentally, right?
Yeah.
And you're never out of it. You just need to kind of keep going and sustain. And right now, we're seeing, I would say, maybe the bottom, if we could say a bottom of Merckx's wave, right, of his match.
And I would say more mental than physical, right?
Absolutely mental.
I mean, I don't know if you can tell through the camera, but he's a specimen.
Yeah, the man is in good shape. He's not tired.
But I think like that overhead there, right? You're drifting to your right. It's kind of a Q4-ish down the middle to your right overhead. You just got to push that back to the reset. Even though you know Coutinho's forehand is potentially there, you'd rather take a volley than a miss.
Right.
Wow. Great lob. Right on literally the back corner of the line. Great ball by Jefferson. I'd like to see him take that drive down the line.
I don't disagree. What I will say, though, is that Merckx volleying is obnoxiously good.
Fair. Totally fair.
From my last time I'm playing him, it's just a challenge to commit going there. And that's not saying Panek's or any really like worse. It's just I don't really remember Merckx really missing a volley in the last 3 sets very much. So it's just percentage of, okay, Panek might have a 3% chance of missing this volley, while Merckx has a 0.2% chance of missing the volley.
True.
But you want to change up the look, and to your point, got to go down the line to do that.
Well, and to me, it's just where the ball's going to come back. If you want it to come back to you, you put it down the line. If you want it to go cross court, it's going to go back to your partner. Here we go. 15-40 double break point. This would be huge. And I love the return down the line there on that. Sorry if I interrupted you with it, but
you did not. You know, you can't see that they actually have AirPods in, all of them listening to the stream. But I like that first swing, and again, the second one maybe slightly too aggressive, but again, hindsight's 20/20. I really do like him swinging. And he just got it again. And he hit through, and he just got that point, and they got the right.
Yeah.
And you can tell how pumped up they are.
That was big.
They sense this match is still in control. They can do this.
Again, you've heard me say it. 4-1 is a deceiving lead.
First time I've heard it. Haven't been paying attention the other times. I'm just kidding. No, but you're so right. Again, it's not like tennis where you can just hit 4 serve aces and you move on, right? You got to grind these games, and this is where I wouldn't mind, depending if Panek and Merckx lose this first point, having a abbreviated conversation.
Yeah.
Of let's do this. Let's dial in. Let's finish this off.
I love that comment, right? Because the point is, I always say to people, everyone's trying their hardest. But it's almost like a reaffirmation. Hey, you ready? You in?
Yeah,
here we go.
Right?
Turn it up a notch.
Panek, to me, it looks like maybe he's dipped a little bit, right? And his shoulders are slumped, and I'm guilty as charged of doing that more than probably anybody. And it's so important to stay upbeat. He's played a great match. All 4 of these guys really have at different intervals, right? So you just got to make sure you're staying confident hitting your shots.
It's so hard, to sustain through these matches. That level of intensity and focus.
And that overhead, I'm loving Coutinho's adjustment on the overhead. He's hitting the same height, and that's the one he wants to go for, right? And he gets basically almost the error, and then he does it, and he goes down the middle, right? Or he hits that shot, which still to the backhand, but wasn't allowing Panek to scream up the sideline, right? And be almost at the service line hitting that.
Right. And I like that little ball, the little slash in there. Merckx was calling for that switch 5 lobs ago. See, he held that one better, like you mentioned. I think to your point, too, they're playing far more balls into Panek's side screen, right? Which, to your point, getting him, taking his legs out a little bit.
Yeah, I just think in these matches of attrition, like I actually really like that ball. They're not, even though again they got a swing, they're clearly wanting you to go in the middle, right? Of course, I'm not saying really you have to go there, but if you don't go there, you're making the court very small. Right. And if you make the court very small, it actually adds more pressure to you. Very sneaky drive there, and great volley by Jefferson on the forehand volley. That was a great pickup. Oh my goodness!
I almost at first thought that went through his legs.
I did think so. So
got the doink.
If you're, not as racket talented as these people, which most are not, let that go to the screen,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
I would have guessed.
Yeah.
and teach that every day.
And this point, Coutinho and Jefferson are really setting these points up. They're going slower, but again, to your point, they're you know, in control, but not overdoing it, right? They're not trying to hit these big rollers. They're not trying to overdo stuff. They're just being very smart with their spots. And that roller, right, wasn't the second panel. That's closer to the corner, exactly what we want, like you said.
It just keeps you out of trouble, right? You know, it's an angle that you can cover. It doesn't give them anything that they can drive back. Oh, he finally got one he could cut off. Look, they're lobbing well, and they're starting to get some drive opportunities. I like the patience here, though, by Coutinho and Jefferson.
And I like that overhead, right? He's not hitting down up. That's a better overhead, and that's a good down up overhead because he's offensive when hitting it.
He hasn't hit the drop shot in a while.
No, and I think that while there's been opportunities, you were getting a lot of swings from Panek and them. They were really reading that.
Wow, what a dig. Off the
Great
doink.
dig. So how does this point end? Like, what is? I mean, to me, I think this point is going to end with a drive from Merckx in the net or through, right, and a winner. And I'm leaning towards error just because of how this point has been constructed, right? I think at some point everyone has a shot clock. I'm not saying, you know, I don't know what his is necessarily, but with how talented he is, a guy like that wants to get a swing.
Yeah, and I would say both to him and Coutinho, right, who were, I don't know, but I'm going to say are the lesser veteran status
Yeah,
of
that's
the
fair.
partnerships, right? You know, so I think the question is are you going to be able to sustain hitting these kind of overheads for the next 5 minutes versus hitting a net, driving the net? And you were right. You called it.
And though I don't dislike the swing, I think that's one, though, again, where you go, okay, let's let it drop a second longer. It got just a little behind him. I don't know if it hit a nick, but you could see it get a little behind him. But again, I like the swing. I mean, again, he's playing great. Oh, I've maybe jinxed him by saying that, but he is playing great paddle, just a little loose backhand here. So you have 40 love to take us to 3-4 in this roller coaster match so far.
I mean, you can see and feel the magnitude of these games and points.
Oh, I mean, they're weighing heavy on me mentally, so I can only imagine the players, what they feel like.
I just responded to 7 work emails during that last point. So,
And that is game to take us to 3-4. So in this roller coaster, right, we had a 4-0 lead, followed by 3 straight games, and Brian Panek serving, who I would say has had some incredibly volatile service games too. So this could easily be 4-all.
It's
right,
fair. He
up.
struggled in the first set. He was a little up and down with it. And again, I'm not going to say it because I've been called out for saying it too much. But again, that set score, is mentally up and down. And here we are, 4-3. And it'll be, I think, again, whichever team is willing to maintain their composure, right? Obviously, that's an obvious statement, but the point being is their confidence through that and say, I'm going to take my look. If my forehand is there, I'm going to hit it, right? I'm going to hit my lob and set it up so I can get my forehand and be ready. And if I miss it, I miss it.
Yeah, and I think that Coutinho and Jefferson have done a remarkable adjustment job. They just go, okay, we were really giving them a lot of stuff. We are going to stop doing that, right?
Yeah.
And that
again, great return.
And that's the spot, right?
Yep.
And his return went and kind of got into Panek's, again, weird elbow spot, right? Into the armpit on his forehand.
What a volley.
That's a great volley.
What a volley.
I mean, it didn't even look like he was, trying to hit
No.
that angle. And
Nobody
Coutinho-
expected it to go there.
Coutinho was licking his lips at a volley down the middle so he could hit a forehand, right?
What a shot. And I think part of it is, we haven't really talked about it, but the temperature, right? You haven't seen anybody really going after any overheads.
No.
Like,
and-
you looked like Merckx was going to go, didn't it look like from that camera angle? He was going to turn that grip over and really go after it.
A big yell from Coutinho on that volley. Miss. And he senses, right? He senses it. Hey, this is our time right here. We're going to come back and win this match.
Kudos to Jefferson through this kind of up and down match.
I mean,
I just want to say,
yeah.
he's been steady as a rock over there, but his lobbing and his dictating of play through his backcourt has been really well done.
And it's funny when you watch, these matches or you see clips of these matches, you see the big forehand, the around the post, the drop shot. Right, you don't see the 2,000 lobs that he hit perfectly every time. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing rock solid, and that was a big point to win that. I think they, had lost to that point about 6 points in a row, give or take. They needed that.
Yeah, and again, remember we made the comment about who was going to step up, right? Which player, who you're going to lean on more. But Jefferson has just been steady, stayed the course.
And now there's a little argument you can see on their side of the court. They're getting a little chippy on that side of the court. A little misconfusion on the middle ball, but he thinks it was in by about a foot.
At least that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks
Yeah.
like. Our camera angle wasn't good enough, so I can't confirm or deny that. I don't, I know the guys from Chicago well. I don't think Merckx would make a bad line call. Again, he played top 200 tennis in the world. I don't think he's making bad line calls, but again,
And I think all four of these guys, right? There's been a number of close calls that I actually think have been out that they've all played.
yeah, I
And
agree.
vice versa.
Yeah, I agree. So again, tough we don't see that angle. Again, you can see Coutinho is really frustrated with that, and this is where. Do we think that miss was again Merckx being upset? Probably, right? I mean, it's just how this game works.
And we would jokingly say, I guess it was out.
guess it was in.
Ball
Guess it was in. Yeah, ball don't lie, right?
Yeah.
Back to deuce, or sorry, 15 love. Sorry.
But they just replayed it, which I love. $15-all. There's the drop shot. Didn't work that time.
No, not that time. Again, he's looking at the camera, I think,
Or a fan.
or a fan. I'm not sure.
He can't hear us, can he?
No, but again, we couldn't see the camera angle on that one, so we can't say if it was in or out. So, sorry, Rafa.
Good doink.
That's a great overhead, though, and again, that's that roller.
I don't know if he's motioning for
He's
someone
motioning
to
for
move.
people to move.
Yeah,
Yep,
from behind the
okay.
court, maybe.
Yep.
There is a big crowd, and again, you can't see because the camera's pointing behind.
So I think that was with the fans. I
Yeah,
think there
it was
some
something
movement,
outside the court,
Some
yeah.
movement behind the court of people walking. Look, that's a tough thing to control.
It's like the U.S. Open here. You know?
Yeah, you try to be as kind to the players and really not bother them. Look, that would frustrate me probably a little bit also. At the same time, I think it's that's kind of the beauty of this game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are not many sports where you're literally right there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you looked on the bottom of Jefferson's paddle, you'd see it has a bottle opener on it. So if that tells you anything about the sport, I mean,
It does, yeah.
It's obviously you're competitive as heck out there, and that's a great FYM. I really like that play. We haven't seen that, and I think that just missed on the back baseline.
30 all.
30 all.
Wow, big roller. He got it. What a get. 2 great gets. Do we have 6 replay options?
I was thinking 12, but I'll settle for 6. Alrighty.
Is that a match point?
This is going to be a match point here. Jefferson is going to go wide on this serve because he's been feeling it all night. He went right up the middle, and it worked perfectly. What do I know?
Oh, good roller. That's one of the first one of those Merckx has missed off
Yeah.
that backside screen.
That's the ball he looks for, right?
It's been there tonight. Great serve. Maybe caught a screen. Nick.
Oh, that's a great move by
Wow.
Panek up the line. Again, he's been sensing that all
Yes.
night and really going for that ball.
And again, not that the down up the waterfall is a bad shot, right? But again, that's the problem. If you hit it so often, guys can read it. We've got match point number 2. There's your roller you were talking about.
Yeah, and I love the spot, right? A great ball deep into the corner. Switching in the
There's the
backcourt.
switch. And they got their switch through
Yep.
the counter move.
And I love that roller in the corner. I mean, look, that caused a, I'm going to say mediocre lob, but better than anything I can do produce on that shot.
No, I wasn't laughing at your comment.
Yeah.
Just the fact is it was still,
Oh, great lob.
3/4 of the way through the service box.
Yeah,
you know.
right.
Great little flick by Panek.
Oh, yeah, and even better reactionary volley, right, by Coutinho.
He's just so long.
Oh, absolutely.
Great drive.
Great redrive, and very smart by
Don't take the
Panek
bait.
and Merckx.
Don't go in.
Don't take the bait.
Wow.
That's a great get.
Unbelievable.
Oh, man. They're saving the goods for match point. I love it. Those are 4 or 5 unbelievable shots. And
there it is.
What a great shot and a great match.
Great match.
With Panek and Merckx winning in a third set, winning 6-2, 1-6, 6-3. And you see the excitement from Panek there, going to the final of the Birchwood Open. And ladies and gentlemen who have been here all day, that is a wrap for today. But please, please join us tomorrow morning for the Birchwood Open Women's Final at 9 a.m., followed by the men's final. Jason, any last words?
Yeah, I want to say thank you, obviously, to the Birchwood crew here, staff, the APTA staff, all of our sponsors. I know that I'm just going to go through the list, but great job to the live streaming crew. Brian, it was a treat being in the booth with you tonight. Can we call it a booth?
We can call it
in the booth.
We're
Yeah,
in the booth.
It was a pleasure. And again, everybody come on out tomorrow. It'll be a great day of paddle. And we look forward to seeing you here next time on the APTA stream.
At Volley, we build tools to unlock your potential. The new Volley PTI feature breaks down your game like never before. Ever wondered which partner has impacted my PTI the most? What's our win percentage as the favorite or underdog? Do I perform differently in 2 or 3 set matches? Now, it's all at your fingertips. The PTI tool is free to everyone. Download the Volley app today and level up your game. We'll see you on the court.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. and our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.